Happy Monday to you all, and I hope you all had a great 4th of July weekend, and welcome to another edition of the Running Educator Podcast. During this podcast, I will be talking a lot about my race to River of No Return in Chalice, and I will discuss the lead up to the race, and everything during the race, and everything after the race. I want you all to make sure that I'm going to say RONER a lot, which is the short acronym of the River of No Return. So just so you can understand that. And not only that, another little disclaimer. The Tuesday before my race, I threw my back out. So chiropractors were met, direct orthopedic care was met, mass meds screwed up my body, and I'm just making more excuses. So in the sport of running, there are no excuses. Okay, so to know yourself, you have to really push yourself to the limits. By running anything, I don't really care if it's a 5K to an ultra, you are in charge of what you do before and during the race. And I know that for me personally, during the race, I will be a changed person after I cross the finish line, for better or worse. And just to give you kind of the prequel to all of the runs that I've done leads up to this. So what I have achieved through my runs is with each footstep that propels me forward, these steps help me take, a newfound place, a new look, a new hill, a new river, a new stream. It's really a great outlet for me to get out and running. Running gives me a place to unpack my repetitive thoughts. This is a lot where this podcast is kind of developed from, leads me to processing to an outlet, a place of release. Yet, sometimes the running can administer a mental enema, which takes to a lot of dark places, which a lot of people don't like. I like to, just because I like to face my fears and try to become a better person. But anyways, during my run to River of No Return and anything before, running helps me define my character. And it also exposes it, which can be good and bad. And I think, my race that I'm going to kind of describe will definitely, go through the bad. But it also helps me find the root of my personality and transforms my running into my own mental sake. I learn new things along the way, and with every run, whether it is the past or whatever I'm achieving today and who I can help, is a lot of the purpose of what I try to do when I go for my runs. Again, going back to that solitude and finding that ultimate piece of mental clarity. So this is the Running Educator Podcast. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so you can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's the easiest way to make a podcast, all in one place. Download for free the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That is ANCHOR.FM. Enjoy. Friday in Chalice, Idaho. My family and I drove 3.5 hours through the backwoods of Idaho as we avoided going through banks like the plague. This was my first time driving or even visiting Chalice, Idaho for the weekend, as it was Father's Day, and it was kind of a gift from my family, because it was Father's Day. We checked into the Village Inn Motel and restaurant. We were very fortunate to get the Blue Mountain Suite with a full jetted tub, kitchen, and a sweltering ass room. After my family and I were pampered in our suite, we decided to check out the town. I never would have thought that in my entire life that my kids would have loved the dollar store. Now, this was just not any typical dollar store. It's a dollar store in Chalice, Idaho. And it was very classy because a lot of the people that we saw that were coming out had White Claw in their hands. It's awesome. So, as my family explored the dollar store, I went to pick up my packet at the Bent Rod. It's a great little fishing store. And I don't know, they had hunting stuff. It was just a really cool little outfitter's place, if you will. So make sure you check that out if you ever visit Chalice, Idaho. Definitely badass. After that, my family and I trekked out to find out the Salmon float tour that we signed up for. This is a lazy 2.5-hour float on the Salmon River, which to this day I wish I didn't do. Don't get me wrong, I love floating and spending time with my family, but sitting in the sun for that amount of time, dehydrating myself prior to a race, and exposing myself to more sun than I needed to was not a good nor wise choice. So, for those that are doing Roner next year, don't do this. I don't even think it would be good the day after because it's so freaking brutally hot. Anyways, after the float, we went and got some food. I had my pre-race meeting at the Chalice Park, City Park. Saw some old friends that I've become acquainted to running River, of No Return, and even just ultras in general. And even my neighbor, saw my neighbor there, and it was just really cool for this brief 15-minute session that we had. The only thing I can remember the race director, Paul Lynn, stating and saying over and over and over, do not get dehydrated. I'm not paying for IVs. I was like, what the hell did I get myself into? But he did make sure that everybody, when you come out of any aid station, that you are wet, fully hydrated, and all water bottles completely, entirely filled off. No ifs, ands, or buts. If you will do that, you will not be dehydrated, and you will successfully complete the River of No Return. Oh my God, how I wish I would have listened to Paul Lind. Anywho, on to Saturday. If any of you have ever signed up for any race and ever had any race jitters, there's no way that you ever get a full night's sleep. It's just impossible. But I woke up at 4:25 to take care of some business. I tried to go back to sleep, and eventually my alarm went off at 5 a.m. and I got some food and got some water in me. Then I walked to the starting line, which is about 1.5 miles from my wonderful Blue Mountain Suite with my neighbor. We both wished each other good luck, and then the gun sounded. I came out way too fast. Way too fast, which is like breaking a cardinal sin in anything you do in running. You got to stick to the game plan, which I did not. But when you're running with others, you're like, I can go for it. So I was feeling good, and I had a goal to complete 25 elevation gain in about 9 miles, which hopefully I could do in 2 hours, which I did. During that entire 9 miles in 2 hours, I felt like absolute shit. Nothing was working for me in hydration. I couldn't keep anything down. My stomach was messed up. I drank my Tailwind, which I believe I took too much in on one bottle, so it made me even more dehydrated. And that's my fault. But if anybody's ever been severely dehydrated where food and water is just not good and you're going into a race where it's going to be hot, you're in for some trouble. So I kept chugging away and just did the best I could. Get to the next aid station. I tried to get some snacks, got some, M&Ms and some Coke, some ginger ale, potato chips, quesadilla, everything. I tried to get everything in me as much as I could. Got to the second aid station, one right before Bayhorse, and I started to feel a little bit better. Again, eating some more pretzels, ginger ale, pickles, and some other food that they had laying around. I was definitely hungry and I was definitely thirsty, so I sat down, kind of drenched myself with some water, got some rocks out of my shoes, and then off I went. And I kid you not, about 40 feet outside of that second aid station, I stopped and I said to myself, why the fuck am I doing this? And I started actually heading back. I was like, I'm done. I can't, my body was just like, nope. But I challenged those thoughts, the dark ones, and said to myself that this would pass. I just needed to focus on what I was doing, turn on some different music, and just stay hydrated and try to eat. Most of the trail from there was downhill, and on the trail, and figuratively, I started to feel a little bit better. I don't know if that's just because it was downhill a little bit easier, but I could definitely feel the sun that was beating down on me. So I arrived at Bay Horse, which is the turnaround point, not hungry or thirsty whatsoever. But I tried to eat some, and I had some frigid water, which is not good. Another little thing I might mention to some people: if you're out on a hot race, don't drink cold water, especially ice water, because it makes it harder for your body to digest, and it's harder for your body to work more to break that cold water down. Just, although it sucks, drink lukewarm water. Just speaking from experience. A volunteer did ask me, "Hey, how you doing?" And I said, "Well, my urine looks like coffee. How are you?" And he knew that wasn't good. I drank some more water. I chatted a little bit more. I felt somewhat better, but I didn't realize what lied ahead of me, which was a big mistake, and off I went. Climbing out of Bay Horse, and again, pardon my French, was a motherfucker. It was just up, and more up. Switchbacks for basically 8 miles of just up. So every time you got to what I thought was the top was just another left to go up more, or another right to go up more. I was pretty much releasing any fluids I already had and drinking from my reserve. I started to notice that my body, amongst other things and terrible ideas and where your mind messes with you, were all going downhill. I was so tired, just exhausted, that I decided to stop mid-race and lay down. I found a shaded area and just kind of got in a fetal position. It felt good, but it wasn't worthwhile because people were walking by me and saying, "Hey, are you okay? Do you need anything?" And again, I love the ultra, marathoning community. They'll give you your shirt, any food you have off, their backpack or whatever. But I was in such misery, I just did not want to be messed with or talked to or anything. So I, kind of shooed people away and, go away. And that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing to stop mid-race and kind of want to die. But, what do you do? So as I kept on kind of like battling and grunting and walking up the hill, dry heaving started to come into place. I noticed that I wasn't sweating, and that's when I kind of okay, I need to find another place to stop, get in some shade, and just kind of sit there and just kind of see where I'm going. I was wearing my heart rate monitor at the time, and I was in the shade, and I noticed that my heart rate was going up. I went 158, 159, 160, and I wasn't doing anything. I was just sitting there in the shade, watching people run by, and that's when I called it, which was probably the most difficult situation or decision I've ever had to make. And I remember one lady ran by and she's like, "Yeah, if you can finish 18 to 20, 24 miles through this race, you've conquered Roner." Well, I did not, and Roner kicked me in the ass, period. I knew that I had more miles to go up, and that was not what I planned for. Again, going out too hard, being dehydrated in the get-go is all rookie mistakes, and I feel absolutely dumb because of it, but now I feel more trained and prepared to go into my next race. So, know your course, boys and girls, and study it religiously, damn it. So, I started to walk down back to Bay Horse, and as I made other descents, everybody's like, "Oh, it's an out and back." I was like, "No, you got to keep going up, and it's a circle, it's a loop, it's horrible." Yeah. So, I just kept going down, just miserable. And again, people were asking me, "Hey, are you okay?" And I just felt really embarrassed. I felt very let down. It sucked, but I felt like it was the right choice because, again, dry heaving and nausea kicked in, and it sucks when it's 90 plus heat and you just want to die. And you've ever been dry heaving? Hurts in my stomach just thinking about it, you know what I mean? But anyways, finally, a person on a 2-person gator came up. I was coming up the hill, and he's like, "Hey, are you okay?" And I'm like, "Nope, should have got you the first time, but He's like, yeah, I told him I was dropping, and he radioed in my number, gave me some water, and then off we went. But we had to go back up the hill because you can't turn around in this narrow four-wheeler trail. So got to one of the switchbacks, turned back around, and then onward back down the hill again, which the ride was miserable. If anybody's ever ridden in a gator, it's very rocky area terrain. It was so bumpy. I just was going to bazooka barf everywhere. But yeah, during that ride though, I downed 4 12-ounce bottles, which made me feel somewhat better again. But again, it took me about 20 minutes to get back down to the bottom to the Bay Horse Aid Station, where it was closed for business. The cutoff was at 12:30, and it was kind of disappointing to see a runner come in at 12:36, and they were just getting there, and they told her that you can't continue on, which just breaks my heart. But that's how brutal this freaking race really is. It's nuts. So as I got there, got water in me, sat in the shade, they checked my vitals. Then about 6 other people were in the same boat as I was. We all looked like death warmed over, and I felt like hammered dog shit. But it was a long road with many thoughts. So we drove back to Chalice in this truck, no air conditioning, and windows down, and again crammed in the back of this cab truck. Again, just not feeling the greatest. I finally got to the start/finish, and I saw my wife, and I will never forget this, that she looked at me and just kind of dumbfounded, like, what are you doing coming out of the back of a truck? And then I saw my kids like, is Dad okay? And it was just kind of a moment of just chaos, if you will. So another moment of despair is when I had to go tell the race director that I DNF'd. Instead, the race director's like, and here comes Mike Cummings from Boise, Idaho, making a strong finish. And I had like my bags, my shoes off, and I just looked like absolute crap. And I was shaking my head, no, that's not how this is gonna end. Mortified while everybody's clapping and cheering me on. It was mortifying, but I told the race director, Mr. Lynn, who puts on an excellent race, by the way, that I DNF'd, and I'm gonna go over and crawl over to my blanket and die in peace, which I did, and my family laid there, and we just kind of hung out. I got some food in me, and cheered in some other runners, and I thank them for the support, for them to come along with me and not get the results I did. But that is the race report. Yes. So listen up, you young whippersnappers that are just taking this running stuff serious. Here are my main points. Don't start out too fast. It doesn't matter how much you train or what you do or how you go about it. Stick to the game plan, stick to what you've done, and you'll be able to finish it. It doesn't matter if you walk, just get it done. The other part of it is, I did set that goal of 9 miles in 2 hours, but I didn't factor in the altitude and the heat. So don't start off too fast. Second thing, and I've learned this from the beginning to now, listen to your body. You have to listen to what's going on. If your body is giving you any indications that you're dehydrated, you're pissing freaking coffee, dry heaving, don't mess with it. Know when it is time to rest, not to quit. Okay? Take that, and you will be an excellent runner, maybe an excellent educator, an excellent anything. Just take those to the heart. The other thing is, you can have the best running plan ever, but the race does not care about any of that. Your past victories or losses are all tossed out the window. The race today is how you show up. And I say that day in and day out to everybody. How you show up in the world and what your character exposes to it will lead you to the right path of what you need to do. So I appreciate you joining me on this Running Educator podcast and checking out my race report of Chalice. I have a couple other episodes coming up. Drew Carter next, the 19th on July. We're going to be talking about education and sobriety. And then August 9th, I'll have my Beaverhead race report. And then on August 23rd, I will have Sean Olson on, who's a local ultra runner, and he's got some good wisdom and experiences that he's like to share with us. So until then, I hope you enjoy the podcast. Please check it out on all the social media websites at therunningeducator.com. I have opened up the Patreon if you want to come help me and support the show, and also help the Hope Rising Kids Ministry, helping feeding children in Africa and getting them some food and supplies for their schooling. Until then, again, I hope you guys have a great day. Keep running and keep learning.